If Iheanacho scores, then I'm going to retire.
Right. I guess we can start from here. Welcome to episode 16 of the First4LCFC podcast. It's been a little while since our last episode. It's been even longer since I was last on one. I've definitely missed it, although I'm not certain how much I've missed you guys. My name is Jamie Thorpe. I'm delighted to have both Christian Mosen and Edmund Noon back with me, the original band, back together. How are you doing, guys?
Very well. I feel like letting our listeners into a bit of a secret.
Oh dear.
That little do they know, this intro is actually getting recorded after we've started the podcast.
It's hard to start it before, but
Well, no. Technology is a crazy thing, and the way we've pieced this together is nothing short of sensational.
Which may explain why I sound so exasperated already.
it could be your age.
It could also be my age. Yeah, that's something that comes with time. But it's a good episode. Or stay tuned. But it is a special. It is an extra special episode, as Ed has instructed me to say, because this week we're going to be joined by a youth coach from our Europa League opponents, which we will get straight into in a moment, but something which we are very looking forward to. And actually, he provides very good insight, so listen in. Ahead of the Europa League game next week, we've got something of a special guest on the podcast. We're delighted to have Jonathan Davies, who is a youth coach at Slavia Prague, with us to give us some proper insight into what Leicester can expect from their opponents in the knockout round next week. So, firstly, Jonathan, welcome to the podcast. It's really good to have you on. I guess the first question would be, how has a Stoke lad, half Welsh, ended up as a coach in Prague?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on. It's a real kind of privilege to be on and to kind of try to give you guys as much information or as much of an insight into the club as possible, really, and so kind of what to expect. I think as you said, finding myself in Slavia in Prague was quite an adventure or quite unexpected, shall we say. It's kind of like a dark part of Central Europe, I guess, not really Eastern Europe. So it's been quite a journey to get here, and if I can shed some light onto the club and kind of give you some information, then that's all good. But in terms of like my career, I was a coach in Asia for a while. I went to coach. Actually, originally I was a history teacher. Became an English teacher out in China. Got a job teaching in China. Then I moved to Taiwan. Met a Taiwanese girl in China and moved to Taiwan. And then in Taiwan, I started coaching. Coached for about 4 years for an international football academy. And then when I got to like 30 years old and decided I wanted to come back to Europe and be closer to home and try to build some kind of professional football career, so a coaching career, that is. I'm not good enough to play professionally, but but yeah, as a coach. So I'd heard good things about Prague. So about 3.5 years ago, I decided to make the move to Prague, and kind of I got a job working for an amateur football academy here. But I did a little bit of research before I came, and the guy, he had connections with Slavia, and I kind of gave myself 4 years to get into the club eventually. And within 3 months, I got an interview, and things kind of snowballed from there. So I was doing little bits kind of, twice per week, 2 afternoons per week. I was going in and just helping out a little bit on a voluntary basis to start with. And then that became part-time. And then eventually at the start of this season, they took me on full-time. So it's been kind of a step-by-step journey, but also a bit of a wild ride, to get to this point. But I'm extremely happy. And, the club that I'm now involved with, it's like a family to me. So despite not being Czech, they've welcomed me, and it's a great club.
Incredible. I mean, so it's quite the journey that you've taken to get there. From that, I can take that you probably know the club reasonably well. So season seems to be going very well for the side, top of the league, unbeaten so far. Is confidence quite high in and around the club, and are you expecting to be able to carry that over into the European games?
Yeah, very much so. Right now in the league, as you said, we're unbeaten. Really, if we're talking on a domestic level, there aren't many teams that get close to us at all. I think we scored another 3 on Sunday. I believe we played. We scored another 3 goals on Sunday, so I think it's like 38 goals in 14 games or something. The last 14 games, so we're banging in goals left, right, and centre. There's been a couple of games this season where we've scored 6 goals in games. We beat our rivals Sparta Prague. We beat them 3-0 away from home. That was before Christmas. And we've had some very good results in Europe as well. We were in a group with Bayer Leverkusen. We managed to beat them at home. And then the only real kind of downside, we lost 2 games in the group. We played Beersheva, an Israeli team. We lost the first game, but we should have won away from home in Israel. And then we also beat Nice as well. We beat them at home. And I can't remember how we did away from home.
It was a double. I was just looking at that now.
Yeah.
Won 3-1 away and 3-2 at home. French league's not the best, but they're a decent side. Do the double over them. It's an achievement, as well as the win against Leverkusen, which is obviously a good result.
Jonathan, so I've got a question for you. Sorry to jump in there. Just off the back of you saying how you've scored, 54 goals, conceded 11 this season, unbeaten in the Czech League. But, it's the question our listeners are probably wanting me to ask right now is, how much can we read into the Czech League? Often we have, fans who are Celtic fans or Rangers fans, and they say, well, it's a Scottish league, how much can you read into that? Because then you see their performances in Europe and you might be like, well, there you go, that their class is shown. But Slavia Prague, are they a serious team who can cause Leicester City problems over the 2 legs?
Well, I mean, the simple answer to that is yes, I believe. I watch, obviously, as a British guy myself, even though I am a Stoke fan, I do watch a lot of Premier League football. And I've watched Leicester City this season. And the Leicester team is obviously fantastic. As a Stoke fan, I witnessed that firsthand, unfortunately, last month where you guys gave us a bit of a pasting. So I'm well aware of what Leicester are capable of in terms of Slavia. Last season we were in the Champions League, so a lot of British football fans would have probably seen us. We had the group of death against Barcelona, Inter Milan, Borussia Dortmund, and we did okay. We didn't win a game, but we weren't outclassed. We weren't outplayed in any of those games. Really, we got a draw 0-0 in the Nou Camp, I think. And we played very, very well against those 3 teams. I think we drew at the San Siro as well. So in terms of being able to kind of mix it with the kind of bigger clubs, then we're certainly capable of that. Obviously, we've lost players like Thomas Souček since then, but you can see the quality that he's got at West Ham this season. You've got Vladimir Coufal as well that we've lost to West Ham, and both of those you guys can see the quality that they produce. We have replaced those players as well with players as good, if not potentially better, actually. And I don't see any reason why we can't give you guys a very competitive tie. And yeah, I think it's going to be we're very, very excited over here. I think that it's going to be a great game, and both teams, they're very attacking. They like to score goals, and very exciting to watch. So, yeah, but I genuinely think that Slavia can match you guys, and and we can probably, on our day, we could probably beat you. Dare I say it?
Oof, well, there you go. I mean, it's a shame. Obviously, Prague it would have been a fantastic away day for thousands of Leicester City fans as well. I'm sure I've been there myself. It's a very, very beautiful city as well.
I'm sure the Prague locals would not have liked it as much.
But in regards to Slavia's style of play, obviously it sounds open, expansive, and attacking. I mean, would that be ignorant to think, or I mean, are you defensively sound as well? I mean, what is your style of play? What can we expect? Are we expecting a cagey away performance, or is it just going to be gun ho from Slavia Prague?
I think one of the kind of big strengths to our kind of our team at the moment is the flexibility. So, as I said, we've scored, or as you've rightly said, we've scored a lot of goals this season in the league, and even in the Europa League, we've been scoring a lot of goals. But also, if you look at the fact that we've gone to the San Siro, we've gone to the Nou Camp, and we've kept it very tight, and we've limited very good opposition to very few chances. You can see that we're capable of doing both. So it really depends on the head coach, who has actually, I think one of his nicknames is like the Czech Klopp or something like that. So he's very sound tactically, he's very smart, and he'll adapt the game to whatever he's seen from Leicester. So we're very flexible in that regard, but usually especially this season, we've been very open and very attacking. One of the reasons why he's called Czech Klopp is that he demands a lot of energy, and especially when we're out of possession from the team. And some of the running stats are incredible, really. As I've said before, you see like Thomas Souček and Vlad Sofal as well, and these guys they're top in the running charts in the Premier League now. So the education at Slavia is very much that you work hard, and that you have you give energy to the team, and the performance is very energetic and dynamic. So at the very least, it will be you'll be playing against a team that don't give up and don't stop running. So it's going to be tough. In particular, when we're out of possession, the press is very kind of, what's the word, intense, I guess. So yeah, it will be. We'll see. It could go one of two ways, really. Depends on the coach.
Very well. I mean, you're selling it to me. You're making me a little bit worried. Obviously, like you say, it is difficult. As I mean, I remember watching Slavia in the Champions League. Keeping a keen interest. Obviously, that was a group of death, but it's just interesting not having seen them play this year. But from what you've described, it should be a good fixture. So yeah. But in terms of key players, though, because again, you look down a squad list, you look at the stats. We've got players who score in 14 and 19 Czech League games. But so who are the standout players that we should be looking at for when the team sheet comes out?
Yeah. As you said, we've got a lad called Abdallah Sima. He's usually playing on the right wing, and he scored 14 and 19, the last 19. So he's on fire at the moment. He scored again last weekend as well, and he was fouled for the penalty for the other goal that we scored as well, one of the other goals. So he's very dangerous. It's quite funny, really, because he only just came into the team. He's 19 years old, from Senegal, I think, and he was in our B team last season. And actually, our B team coach wasn't too keen on him, but we had an injury crisis and a kind of a COVID crisis, I believe. And he got his opportunity in the Europa League for the A team, and he scored, and he hasn't looked back. So it's from zero to hero for him, really, in the last season. But he's great. He's very fast, very very kind of athletic, and he's a great finisher as well. I think in the Sun newspaper, not known for exaggeration, they said that Arsenal were going to pay £50 million for him. This was in January, and they were calling him the next Thierry Henry. So just to
they said something similar about Nicolas Pepe, though, didn't they? I mean, no difference.
Yeah.
So do you think he's the next player who may be off to the Premier League or a European giant elsewhere?
Potentially, yeah. I just, you look at the fact that he's only been in senior football in the A team since, I don't know when his debut was, probably September, October. So, you can't really. I know football these days, it moves very quickly, and you get a lot of kind of hype around players very, very quickly, especially young players. So I wouldn't rule it out, but I think from our point of view at Slavia, we want to keep hold of him. For a player that's so prolific, obviously we don't want to lose him yet, and he's got a couple of years until he kind of hits his prime, you would say, and we have the potential to probably cash out or to get a little bit more money from him. I wouldn't say he's quite ready for the Premier League, but I guess we'll see. I think we'll see when he plays against a team like Leicester. If he can cause you guys problems, if he can have a good game, then I think that proves that he can probably cut it. I think a lot of Premier League teams will be watching him in the game against you guys, and they'll probably use that as a good opportunity to scout him. I know West Ham, although West Ham are linked with every single player we've got at the moment for obvious reasons, but I know West Ham were looking at him, and we've had a lot of interest. I think AC Milan were looking as well at one point. And then, as I said, Arsenal were rumoured to be interested as well. So, but it will be interesting. The Leicester game's going to be a lot more difficult for him to succeed and to shine compared to some of the lower opposition in the Czech League. So it will be interesting. It'll be definitely. But the point is as well that Slavia doesn't rely on Sima to create chances and to score goals. There are other players that are capable of doing that. So
it sounds like he's had a sort of a similar experience to the player who'll be going up against in James Justin, who came into our squad probably earlier than many would have expected him to because of injury, and he's done very, very well. But from your perspective looking in, is there anyone within the Leicester squad that particularly worries you, that you think, these are the key players from our point of view, and then do you think that the Slavia squad are well prepared to combat that particular threat?
I think, yeah. I mean, the one name on everyone's lips here at the definitely in the academy is Jamie Vardy. I think that's going to be quite interesting to see him up against our defensive line, mainly because, of course, it depends on the strategy that the coach decides to go for, the approach that he goes for. But sometimes we do have quite a high line, and I do think that the pace of Jamie Vardy and the movement in behind might be an issue. Our centre backs aren't I wouldn't say the quickest. They're not slow, but they're not the quickest. And I think probably but then having said that, I think every club in the world, every team in the world would worry about that. So I don't think that's anything new. I think James Maddison and Harvey Barnes probably on the counter attack. We could probably look at those two as well. But yeah, I mean, Leicester are one of the better teams that I've seen this season, to be honest, and I think that tactically they can give anyone problems. So, but there's nothing in particular apart from Jamie Vardy, I would say. I think our fullbacks are very good, very dynamic. So I don't know how much space and time James Justin will get. And I think that we'll probably deal with that, and Castagna as well. I think we'll probably deal with that, but it depends on Jamie Vardy, I think. So is he fit?
He's playing right now in the FA Cup, actually, which is a bit of a surprise that he's getting a start tonight. But so hopefully he doesn't injure himself. And then we've got Liverpool coming up next as well, so it's not the easiest preparation. But it's interesting you should say, what the general feeling was around, the club when the draw was made. Like, how is Leicester City regarded as like a big draw? Is it like a bit of an annoying draw because it's not? Well, we're not like obviously a huge club. I mean, what was the general sort of consensus? And ultimately, it is the feeling that it is a winnable tie.
Yeah, I think in many ways it's a perfect tie for us. I think that first of all, people here, especially in Slavia, are big fans of Premier League football. So I think any Premier League team, would have been great for us in terms of the publicity, in terms of general excitement around the club. Everyone watches the Premier League, so to get a team like Leicester City, you guys won the league a few years ago, and that obviously raised your profile a lot around the world, to put it mildly. And so, I think in terms of that, in terms of your reputation, that was quite good. But having said that, I think that we look at it as, we're not. There's a chance that we can win. There's a chance that we can qualify, and for example, had we drawn, I wouldn't say a bigger team, but had we drawn perhaps a more intimidating team, then there would have been that kind of pessimism. But I think that we look at Leicester as being beatable, difficult, very, very difficult, but beatable, I think. And that's not to be disrespectful. we are excited about it. We are very, very much excited about the game, and we respect very much. We definitely respect Leicester, and it's a difficult, very, very difficult game, but we do think that it's winnable. But having said that, as you guys have pointed out, we've had a very successful season, and we're right now confidence is very high. So we'll see. Maybe that'll be misplaced, and you guys will put a few goals past us. I don't know how it's going to go.
Well, there you go.
You sort of preempted the next question that I was going to ask, which was to put your neck on the line somewhat, John, and try and put a prediction out there.
I mean, it's a tough one. I think it's a really tough one because, as you said that you've got Liverpool next weekend, I believe. Would you guys say that like the Europa League would be a priority at the moment?
No, I'm not expecting it. I don't know. Ed's a lot more keen on rotating the side than I am, but I still wouldn't be surprised even at this knockout stage of Europa League for us to potentially be starting a couple of fringe players, if you like, not necessarily youth team players, but maybe players who are struggling to get a start in the Premier League. So it's hard to say because the classic debate we often argue about on the podcast is what's more important, league position or silverware? And obviously the obvious argument is in the Premier League, top four is basically silverware because it means Champions League football. But I'm still a purist, and I think that it would still be nice, to actually win a trophy. Obviously, you did win the Premier League, but to continue winning silverware. Otherwise, you do fall into a bit of a rut, like teams like Spurs. So, but for me, I'd expect us to take it seriously, but I don't think it'll be a full strength Premier League.
Is it at home?
First leg's away, isn't it?
Yeah, first leg's.
I should know this. Well, I was going to say if it's at home, I think we'd be more open to sort of rotating players. What day's a Liverpool game on? So I've done a lot of background research. You'll see.
Ed is the least prepped. I don't even know. To be fair, I've got a lot of Slavia tabs open, but not the Leicester City tabs.
We play Liverpool this Saturday the 13th, and then the away leg is on Thursday the 18th.
That's quite a gap. That's me just like stating the obvious, by the way. I think we'd think at this knockout stage now, away from home, I think we're going to play a pretty strong side. I think, if anything, if we're going to be positive vibes, even though John's done his best to make us worried, what I'd go say, right, let's blitz it, let's win by a couple of goals, and then if we are to rotate players, do it at home in the second leg when we've got a bit of a margin for error. I wouldn't be going on putting out more inexperienced players against a side who, they may not have the stature or quality as us, but they're certainly high on confidence and form, and they've not really got anything to lose. So
it's true, but you've got to balance it. Aston Villa, one of the form teams in the Premier League, we play within 72 hours.
Villa Schmiller, like
I don't know. I think I'm expecting. I'd say, assuming we play a full strength team against Liverpool on Saturday afternoon, I'm expecting 2 or 3 changes from that.
That's still a strong side, though, compared to other teams like to completely chop and change like whole sides, don't they? So maybe it's not a first 11, but I certainly wouldn't expect like the reserves to turn up.
But you might be limited by COVID as well. Like I don't know, if players are traveling and stuff. I don't know how that would impact the squad if he can make, if Rodgers can make too many changes, due to COVID. And I guess obviously you've got your Europa League squad as well, haven't you? That's locked in as well. So
I was looking at that because obviously the Champions League, there's been a few fixture changes, hasn't there, to neutral venues. But I presume that Czech Republic's obviously a safe country.
How is coronavirus in the Czech Republic at the minute?
It's not great, to be honest. We've been in lockdown since before Christmas, just before Christmas, or just after Christmas, I think it was. And yeah, it's not been great. The UK's done, not to get too political, but the UK's done a good job of the vaccine, and the EU, Czech Republic's kind of gone a little bit slower and steady, a little bit safer, but in the meantime, things aren't great here, I would say. But I'm not sure how it impacts. I mean, we can't have any fans in the stadium anyway. I don't know how much it impacts. I guess you guys would have to bubble or something like that before you came over, which I'm sure you're doing anyway. But I'm not sure how it would work out. To be honest, I've not talked to my colleagues about it, so I'm not sure.
There you go. So, in answer to the original question, what is your score prediction over the two legs, Jonathan? I only tried to worm your way out of it, but we're going to hold you to a scoreline.
Yeah, I was just kind of putting it off a little bit. I think at home, it will be. My guess would be at home we'll keep it quite tight in the first leg. We're quite good away from home, especially in European competition. We lost against Leverkusen. We got hammered by Leverkusen, but I think we'd already qualified. So apart from that, we're usually quite tight. I think it will be 1-1. I think we'll get a draw at our place, and then I think we'll try to do it on away goals in Leicester. Could be. I'm going to say 1-1. I would say.
You promised me goals galore, and now you're saying 1-1. So I'm not sure what to predict myself now. But
I think
I can understand that.
It could be. I reckon it could be like a very tight game in Slavia. But I think that away from home it could be 3-2 or 2-2 or 3-3 or 5-5 for all I know.
5-5.
I'm not sure. I would love that.
Money on that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we'll offer our predictions for what it's worth. Before talking to you, I was, I would have said we can go there and win 2-0. But looking at the table, the team does score goals. They will be high on confidence. I do predict an away win for us of 2-1, and I think we'll win 3-0 at home. So that's my little prediction. But maybe too bold. I'm known for my bold predictions. Not often right, so. But yes, that's what I'm thinking.
If we win, do I get to come back on the podcast afterwards and talk about it?
Never. Yeah, it'll be good. I can't speak for everyone else, but it'd be good to get like your side's review of the result and ahead of the second leg, like predictions and stuff as well. So maybe everyone else hates you and don't want you back, but you seem quite nice to me, so I'd be open to it.
Thanks. I think I'll take that as a compliment.
That's about as glowing as endorsement.
Well, wait until the podcast's over, because Jamie's got a track record of mouthing guests off. We recorded one. Well, actually, we'll talk about this off air, shall we?
Oh God! I definitely.
Now you're scaring me.
This is being taken horribly out of context. If there was a way, I'm not in charge of this call, but if I could kick Ed off it, I would right now. Ed's just unhappy because I've called him the wrong name on every podcast we've ever done. So just don't listen to him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, on that note, I suppose we should. Ed, actually, do you want to give did you actually give a prediction?
No, I'm going to go 3-1, and I'll tell you why. I'm confident. I remember when we did a prediction, I said we're gonna thrash. Was it Braga? And you were all like, "What are you on about? It's not." I've just got a vibe. I think it's not. It's gonna be quite a. I think it'll be quite an open game. I think there'll be chances. They're on confident side. We're, can play some good football, knockout football. I think both teams will want it, and open game. I see goals, 3-1. I think Kelechi and Nacho fancies it.
Big Ian.
Do you think Iheanacho is going to start?
Yeah, we
boys,
will.
Boys, if Iheanacho scores, then I'm going to retire.
Oh, you don't rate him.
Mate, you can't have him scoring against Slavia. That would, like, Jamie Vardy I can deal with, but Iheanacho, no.
Well, at least I found a voice clip for the opening bit of the podcast now. That's fine.
Yeah, you can use that. You can use that one.
And Jamie, what about you? You're normally more fence sitting.
All right, fence.
Yeah, I think we should probably make it clear as well that our predictions don't tend to be worth the time because we don't really get them right very often, do we? I think if it's going to be open, both teams pressing, Slavia playing a high line, I think it'll be 3-1 to Leicester. Is my
great
daring,
shout, someone else should have said that.
Almost like we've all said it.
Yep. Well, I'm agreeing with you. We're obviously all on the same page, aren't we? This is what makes it such fun.
Well, everyone said that both teams will score, won't they? So at least that's a sign for at least decent viewing.
Well, fingers crossed.
Let's hope 0-0 now.
Yeah, it'll be a 0-0 board draw, won't it? But yeah, let's hope not.
Well, yeah, that's that.
And on that note, so we'll say thank you, John. Thank you very much for coming on and giving us your insight. I really do appreciate it, and for putting up with us. More to the point. Hopefully, we can, like Ed says, we can get you back on, get your thoughts on the game. But that will only be in the event of a Leicester win, I imagine. But yeah, thank you very, very much for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, boys. Thank you.
Cheers.
And good luck.
Well, that was interesting, wasn't it? They're very confident. Well, do you think that's changed your opinion at all? Prediction?
Yeah, I guess. It's difficult though, isn't it? Because would you ever invite a fan on and they not feel optimistic about their own performance? Or is that?
Well, I guess if you're working for the club, he's not going to say, we're shit, we're going to get thrashed. Gets called into the manager's office tomorrow morning.
Because the manager is definitely listening.
Oh, can't go into office either, work from home.
Exactly. But no, I think, well, you have to look at the league table and how they've played in Europe. See, they're not shy of finding the back of the net, and hopefully they don't, find any of our defensive frailties. I think that the one thing I want to cling on to what John said was that their defence sounds like a weak point. I know you didn't highlight it as that, but he said as soon as you mention a lack of pace in defence, I think you'd get found out as a slow defender, if you like, in the Premier League. So I think that's, again, I don't even know their centre-back partnership is, but if it is an aged one or just generally a slow one, then you're looking at our attacking players, and that's something we've got to exploit. And especially if they play a high line, like they said, again, you don't find many teams playing a high line in the Premier League, so it could be something that we really exploit.
Yeah, I think that was the point which gave me actually confidence. And they said the way that they press and they're very on the front foot, both with and without the ball. And those tend to be the games that we do better in. When there's a bit of space, we've got players that are very, very good at being pressed. And sort of good with the ball at their feet. And you think if there's space, the likes of Vardy and Barnes and are going to have a field day. Although he didn't seem to put a huge amount of faith into the idea that Iheanacho can actually score a goal.
Well, he said he'd quit his job, so hopefully his manager's not listening.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I feel like Iheanacho is going to get 2, so there's my prediction.
But either way, though, it sounds like it will make for quite an entertaining game. I think it's It was a good. We were probably a slight when the draw was made. What was your first opinion of the draw? Were you relieved to see us draw that side, or do you think it was like one of the easier fixtures available?
Ed
opens up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said Ed there. I mean, we're not have to go to VAR, but he did say Ed.
And I said opening up tab in Google Chrome, searching Europa League draw, so I can make comment. Chris, you may fill in the meantime.
My honest answer was, had it not been for their Champions League, bravery, if you like, last season, I'd have looked at them and probably thought, well, okay, fair enough, they're domestic champions, but they are actually are they? Did they win the league last year? So what? Presumably they didn't get through a Champions League qualifier. I'm not sure how it works out there, but no, I think just looking at the couple of players they've produced and the players that they've got on their books now, they're certainly obviously a team that, well, to coin a phrase, produce a conveyor belt of players. So there's nothing to say that they haven't got people to be scared of now. But I don't know. Again, it might be a bit obvious of me, but a team who comes out and plays like that with no fear, that's a big naive thing to do, isn't it, when you go into a Europa League sort of game? If you do play as aggressively as that, you're asking to get picked off against better teams. So I don't know, like, for me, I can only hope they do play like that, because I think the quality does come out on top. I don't think you can fight fire with fire when there's a potential gulf in class there.
I saw it as a favourable draw. Now I can answer the original question with this prompt has led me to remember. I remember at the time feeling a bit nervy about the draw, because there was the prospect, if you remember, of some decent clubs coming in from the Champions League as well. So if you look at other teams who are in the draw, quite a lot I would have preferred Prague over. Teams like Ajax, Shakhtar, Napoli, Leverkusen, Rome, Villarreal,
I think
Milan.
We came top of our group there, didn't we? So we were never going to play a team who's dropped out of the Champions League.
I don't know how it works. I swear I saw that you could. I swear we had this chat before. Benfica. But either way, I felt there was a lot. I'm not saying it's the easiest draw, don't get me wrong. There's some other clubs that are probably even more favourable. Molde, or however you pronounce it, for instance. Young Boys, perhaps. But I saw it as a draw that we could go into and think we shouldn't be afraid of these. Obviously, on the day, if we go in with an attitude that we're definitely going to win, that's not a good start. And if we don't perform to our abilities, they're absolutely more than good enough to beat us, especially at their place. But I did think overall, over 2 legs, there was certainly tougher ties we could have been given.
I think John quite clearly knows his stuff, doesn't he? He's very insightful into his team, and they'll be confident for a reason. So it should be a good game, but I don't know whether we're just being deluded, but we should be the favourites for the game, I suppose. But like he said, on their day, they'll be confident of beating anyone, which I suppose is what you can expect when you get into the knockout stages of a competition like this. But I'd still stick to 3-1 prediction. I think that we all went for. And yeah, I think we'll likely play quite a strong team. And although at the time of recording we're currently struggling against Brighton's B team, I still think we'll have enough.
Well, yeah, that's a monologue. That is a monologue for you. Usually it's me who gets bored about half an hour into making a point, but you've done me there.
You honestly get me. We'll do a solo on each. I can't wait. But no, it will be a good game. But I suppose, I mean, as this is going to go out pre Liverpool game as well, we don't want to preview the game as such. But do you want to put your neck on the line with a prediction as well while you're here?
Well, we're going to batter Liverpool.
They're going
to lose 4 on the spin. Is it 4 on the spin if they lose this?
Could be. They're certainly not in good form at the minute, and they just got scored by Man City. But I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I think that
It'd be 3 on the spin.
there's European football for both teams to think about. I don't think either team will particularly want to drop more points, especially to perhaps a divisional rival.
Divisional rival?
Is that the wrong term?
Division? I don't know.
We're 3 points ahead. Liverpool have lost 3 of their last 5 in the league. I think a tight game probably. Certainly more hopeful of a result, a better performance than last time Liverpool played Leicester at Leicester. If I remember correctly, we got thrashed, didn't we? Was it 4-0 or something?
Yeah. Alexander Arnold had the freedom of the city that night, and I think he scored a hat-trick, didn't he? I think that was actually the game where fair few fans' patience with one Ben Chilwell ran out.
Score a hat-trick. That'd be mental.
Did he not?
He scored 1.
Oh, was it? Oh, he did
Probably
get
got a lot of assists. We only think about fancy football points now.
literally think in fancy football points. But he was excellent that day, wasn't he? They were rampant, and any talk of titles was quite swiftly put to bed. Chris, would you take a draw now if it was offered to you?
Well, you know what I'm like. I like to look at things relatively speaking. I think they're there for the taking. I'd predict a win. I think it's going to be a repeat of the 2017 vintage Leicester. Well, not vintage Leicester because that's the wrong season. We did beat them in 2017 2-0, and I'm going to stick with 2-0, even though that was in the League Cup. I'll say 2-0. There you go. Went around the houses for that one. 2-0.
We got there.
So what's the score?
2-0.
Okay.
Okazaki's first goal.
It's unlikely, but
it is unlikely.
Patrick.
Oh, I mean, we were talking about old players for this for me, so I can't get Alan Mabry out of the brain. I think I think it'll be a draw, and I will be happy with a score draw. But I'll be pretty pleased with that. As on the whole, I don't think that was the worst result given the context of everything. But fingers crossed. So, Chris, I guess I've not been here in a while. Do you want to do the honours and close this one out?
No, because I'm sure Ed's got something else to add.
Oh, he always does. Go on, Ed.
I honestly don't think I've got much to add. Things are all right for me at the minute.
All right, we didn't have to be live.
Looking forward to Liverpool big match. Then back in Europe, so really a good week of football ahead. Hopefully, it could go either 2 ways. Really, if we lose to Liverpool, we could be out of the top 4. If we lose to Prague by enough, we could be near enough to be out of Europe. But positive vibes to the lads. Hopefully, we'll be back next week and we'll have 2 positive results and things will be looking very nice indeed.
Well, talking of positive results, it's also Valentine's Day.
Don't share everyone about that, Chris.
It's also Valentine's Day
right
in the middle. So are you still waiting for your positive result?
In terms of what?
Oh dear.
But anyway,
I'd answer the question.
we will wrap
I've
the
had a test.
podcast up. And
thank you very much if anyone has made it this far. As always, really do appreciate it. Thanks again to Jonathan for coming on. Please like, subscribe, review us wherever you can. What did you just say?
You said subscribe.
Did I? Oh, I've got a case of the Jonathan Rosses. No, subscribe. I was going to enunciate very clearly. And thanks as well to Chris, who's going to have to do a hell of a lot of editing to make this even remotely passable. So thank you again, and we'll see you in the past.
So never say never again.
I'm going for you. Bring that up again.
Okay, see ya.
Thanks
Bye.
for listening.
Subscribe.